Super investors, average backgrounds. So I kind of like this topic because in the financial world, in the investment world, you see the top guys, you see the Warren Buffetts, the Peter Lynches, and all these hedge funds and hedge funds managers. Of course, they make a lot of money off of investments. And if you know a little bit about the stock market, we understand that the stock market is the greatest wealth generator in the world. The average person can get wealthy off the stock market with not so much high level financial skill needed. You just need some some hard work, some research, and some basic understanding of math and valuation. But you don't have to be a very smart genius individual to have a super investing record. And so I'm gonna go through a couple examples today of people with average backgrounds, normal people who have turned into super investors. Okay. So I'm very excited about this, and I hope this gives other people inspiration moving forward in their investing careers to stay the course, because it will pay off if you just allow things to compound and you put your capital in the right direction. You're allocating it in the right direction. So the first super investor with the average background I want to go over is Ann Shieber. She transformed her modest savings into a $22 million fortune over 5 decades. And before we get into her story, I just have some gematria to christen it. We have average, AVG, the acronym for average. Average humans can be a super investor, equals 333 in English ordinal and 117 in reduction. We understand that is a powerful decode with the ordinal English reduction. So we're in the right place. It's telling us some sort of energetic truth that, average people can do above average things if they just put their mind to it. And so for Anne, she retired in 1944 at the age of 51 from a low-paying auditor position at the IRS. Schieber began with a $21,000 portfolio. Despite never earning more than $4,000 annually and facing workplace discrimination as a Jewish woman, she exemplified financial discipline. Schieber's wealth accumulation can be attributed to 3 key factors, and these factors, span everything for everyone in the investing community. Everybody can do this. She lived modestly, reportedly wearing the same clothes since the mid-1940s and residing in a small apartment she seldom left. Now, this is an extreme example of frugality. I am a firm believer that quality of life, living a good life is very important, and there's balance. All right. But if you want to be a super investor, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. Now, you don't have to do the extreme sacrifices she's made, but you got to be willing to go the extra mile and, save a little bit more to put in your investment account for later. You don't have to wear the same clothes for the rest of your life. You don't have to live in a small apartment, denying yourself of some more of the luxuries. But you have to understand, you can't have every luxury if you want to be in this game, especially if you're not making up a lot of money. So keep that in mind. Don't be afraid. Don't have fear of frugality. You can still do the things you want, but you're going to have to be willing to sacrifice somewhere, especially if you're not making that much money like she wasn't. So she had to go to the extreme. And the next one is longevity. She lived to 101. She allowed her investments to compound over 50 years after she retired. That's important. Longevity is important to the game of investing because when you think about it, I was actually just recently listening to an interview on YouTube, and the hedge fund was talking. A hedge fund manager was talking about um, what long-term time frames are. He said 20 years, when you really look at it, is not a long-term time frame to allow companies and to allow markets to flesh out. Yeah, it might seem a long time to a human life because, I mean, say if you live to 100, that's a fifth of your life. You know, people, let's say people live to 80, that's a fourth of your life. That's a quarter of your life, 20 years. So that's saying that's not a long time. That, you know, scares a lot of people off. You only live one life. And do you want to wait for things to pan out over 20 years? You have to have patience. But when you look at the Michael Jordan of investing, Warren Buffett, he's 92 now. Charlie Munger, RIP, he died at 98. Their lives, their longevity plays a role in this game of investing. It's almost like sports. When you look at LeBron James and what he's been able to do, part of it, what he's been able to do is he's been in basketball for a long time. He's 40 plus years old, still playing in the NBA at a decently high level. Whether you like him or not, that's part of the game. Getting the extra stats, allowing them to build up where, you know, Michael Jordan, where he had an amazing career, he's still considered my GOAT. He didn't have the longevity like LeBron James. So his stats in the game of basketball aren't as good, not as compounded as LeBron James. It's the same thing in the investment world, and I equate the investment world much like the sports world. You know, different individuals have different thoughts, beliefs, different perspectives on how to invest in the game, but to be able to see the results, it's going to have to, you know, it's going to be over a long period of time. You have to be in the game 20, 30 years to really see the results. And so if you want to be an investor, you have to think about your health too. Health is wealth. And that's why I love the game of investment, because it's everything that culminates in life. So I hope and pray that I'm able to live a long life to see my decisions in investing play out positively. Okay. And so keep that in mind. Longevity is very important. And she had another 50 years after her retirement to see things compound. And now let's get into compound interest. That's the third key factor in this equation for her. By reinvesting dividends into a diversified portfolio of high quality stocks, she achieved an annual return of 14.6%, nearly double the S&P's average of 7.5% during that period. You know, usually the S&P compounds at, well, the stock market, you know, compounds over a lifetime, you know, at 10% per year. If you're in the SPY, in the ETF, well, that's going to take about 3 basis points, about 3% off. So that 7% for fees, so that 7% does play out. So she pretty much doubled what you could get on the SPY. That's super investing, especially over a long period of time. Now, what was the outcome of all of this, right? To my knowledge, she wasn't married. You know, she lived a very lonely life, but she had a whole lot of money, 22 million at the end of her life. So upon her death in 1995, Shieber bequeathed her whole entire fortune to Yeshiva University to support scholarships for Jewish female students, aiming to help others overcome the job discrimination she had faced. Her story underscores the power of disciplined saving, prudent investing, and the impact of compound interest over time. It's just a photo of her. So keep those three things in mind. You know, frugality, saving, having a long-term life and, you know, long-term horizon. You know, you might not live to 100, but you have to be able to hold your investments for a long time, 20 plus years, and compound interest, reinvesting your dividends, not selling out of stocks just because. making sure you're not being a forced seller, investing what you can afford to lose so you do not have to pull it out later. Those are 3 key things that you can do to be a super investor from an average background. And you can still live a positive life, a life with joy. You don't have to go the lengths that she has went, but you can still get similar results, especially if you make more money. The more money you make, the more you can put in. So keep that all in mind.